Hi everyone, it's me, Alice from Nerd Chic Bookworm, and I am here today to do a book haul. I'm really sorry that I couldn't upload this video on Sunday, but I was waiting for my books to arrive and they didn't get here until, well, one of them only came this morning and the rest of them arrived on Tuesday after the Easter bank holiday. So I'm really sorry, but I am here now and I am ready to show you my new books. The first one that I got, and this is the one that arrived this morning, is Depression by William Styron. This is one of the vintage minis that there is a collection that Vintage have published on lots of different sort of little books about lots of different things. There's one about food, there's one about motherhood, there's one about liberty, there's one about eating, calm, death. There's lots of different ones, and it's just kind of extracts of people's books and sort of speeches and essays, just little extracts of them put into one little bound book. This one is Depression, and this is, I believe this is the unabridged text or the full text of William Styron's Darkness Invisible, which I think, from what I recall, is his sort of downward spiral into depression. So it's not so much a memoir, but it's sort of his writings on how he had depression, how he felt about when he had the depression. It touches on suicide, it touches on sort of human nature and anxiety and panic attacks. So I don't think it's going to be an easy read. I think I will probably relate to this book a lot because from what I've read, he suffers from quite a lot of the same things that I suffer, so I do feel like I would be able to relate a lot to it. And it's only a very short book as well. I think it's only 80 pages or something like that, so it'll be a very quick read, but I think it'll be a read that kind of packs a punch, especially for someone like me who does suffer from anxiety and depression. But I'm here and I'm willing to give it a go. The next one that I got, again, is a very, very slim book. I've got a few slim books this time, and this is Histories by Sam Guglani. I'm gonna go with Guglani, I'm sorry if that's wrong. And this is basically a book portraying 1 week inside of an NHS hospital. It's not a non-fiction, so it is sort of a novel. Again, it's very, very small, but it is just sort of, it's just taking 1 week in a hospital and looking at the doctors, the nurses, the patients, sort of everybody in that hospital over a period of 1 week. And Sam Guglani has basically just written this book looking at this and what a hospital is like. I think it's in London. I'm not too sure, but I think it probably is set in London. And I've heard it's just a really lovely and poetic and lyrical book. And I thought, with everything that's going on in the world at the minute, and with the NHS doing so much for us, I thought this would be a really interesting read right now. So yeah, I got this one too. I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. The next one that I got is a bit more of a mess my head up kind of book. Again, it's a very slim book. See, I'm going for the slim books this time. It's quite good. And this is Asylum by Marcus Lowe. I went for this book purely on a whim. I knew nothing about this book going into it. There is a bookshop where I got most of these books called The Works in the UK, which is sort of like a discount bookshop. And this was in one of their offers that they had. And I read the back of it, and it just sounded brilliant. On the front, the Sunday Times has said the most credible dystopian novel I have ever read, and I love a dystopian novel. At the minute I am currently reading The Handmaid's Tale, which is probably the original dystopian novel. So I thought this would be a really, really good one as well. This is about a man called Barry James who is detained in a quarantine facility, which is very fitting for the times. And I believe it's in South Africa it's set. Yeah, the Republic of South Africa. And he is sort of detained in this quarantine facility, and he the book is kind of split into his sort of the reality of his incarceration and also sort of his dreams. So it sounds like it's going to be very poetic, very lyrical. Again, it's going to be quite a quick read, I think, and it's just kind of, I believe it's just kind of looking at the mental state and the mental decline of this man as he is in quarantine. So it is very fitting for what's going on at the minute. I don't know how I'm going to feel reading it at the moment, being on lockdown in a sort of viral pandemic kind of situation. I don't know if this might be a bit too heavy for me right now, but I am looking forward to getting to it at some point. The next one that I got is another one that I really shouldn't have bought during this time. This is a non-fiction book called The Knowledge by Lewis Dartnell, and this is basically a look at how to rebuild our world after an apocalypse. And on the back, the first line is, "What if tomorrow morning you woke up and everything you took for granted was gone? Maybe it was a viral pandemic or an asteroid strike or perhaps nuclear war." When I got this through the post and I read that blurb on the back and it mentioned a viral pandemic, I was like, nope, not right now. Not happening. I was like, too much. But it is something that I'm very interested about. It's basically looking at, if the world was wiped out, how would the world start again? So it's looking at agriculture, it's looking at sort of how do you grow food, how do you generate power, how do you make your own medicine, and sort of how to build back a civilization if the civilization now is completely wiped away. So it does sound very interesting. Probably not one to get to at the fly. Probably not one to get to at this time because, again, viral pandemic, we are living it right now. But it is one that I am really interested in getting to in the future. The next one is another non-fiction book, and this is Odette, World War II's Darling Spy by Penny Stans. Like I said, this is another non-fiction book, and this is about a lady called Odette Brayley who became part of the Special Operations Executive in World War II. So basically, Winston Churchill created this sort of, I don't know how to describe it, this sort of group of people, I suppose, who trained to be spies, to go over to Germany and France and sort of all the places that they needed to go to and be spies for the British. And me and my husband once watched a programme about I always get this confused, the Special Operations Executive, I say the SOE. And me and my husband watched a programme about it on Netflix once, and it was people in the modern day training, the exact training that they would get if they wanted to become part of the SOE. And it was a really, really good book, and it really fascinated me. Not a book, it wasn't a book, it was a programme. But it was really, really good programme, and it really fascinated me. And then when I saw this in the bookshop, I really, really fancied it. So this is following a girl called Odette, who, she was the first woman to be awarded the George Cross, as well as the Légion d'honneur. I'm not very good at French, but I'm going to try. And she even, there's sort of claims that she had an affair with her supervisor, Captain Peter Churchill, who worked undercover with her in France. So it's just kind of following her life. She was the most famous woman, I believe, in the SOE during World War II. And I do like the World War II period of history. My grandpa fought in World War II, and it's just a period of history that I feel quite connected to, probably because of my grandpa, and I thought this would just be a really interesting book. The next book is another non-fiction, and this is Invisible Women Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men by Caroline Criado Perez. This book came out last year. Yeah, last year. And this, it was the Science Book Prize winner of 2019. That's very interesting. And I had seen this going around BookTube all last year, pretty much. And I was so interested in it. And when it came out in paperback, I could not wait to get my hands on it. I'm not the biggest fan of hardback books, so I do try and wait to get books in paperback if I can. I don't think I've got many hardbacks, maybe a handful of hardbacks on my bookshelves, but I do prefer paperbacks. And this is basically a book sort of looking at how the world is sort of biased against women. So when you look at things like mobile phones, the size of a mobile phone is for a man's hand to hold it comfortably. And things like seatbelts in cars, when cars get tested, they are tested with men sitting, being being tested on. So women's bodies and the way women with seatbelts on, how their bodies respond during crashes and stuff isn't really paid attention to, because most things are swayed towards men and how men deal with things in the world. So it's looking at things like that, and I just thought it sounded really interesting. It's basically looking at how the world is built for men and not for women. And I love gender studies like these, and looking at sort of case studies and literature and things where, gender biases and men versus women and things like that. It's really an interesting read for me, and I've only just started really getting into it through watching BookTube. But this was the one that I saw the most and the one that I fancied reading the most. So I thought, if I start with this one, and then if I like it, then I can move on to other books. But this is going to be quite soon a read, I think. I think I'm going to give this one a go quite soon, because it is one that I do really want to get to. The next one is a debut novel by a lady called Claire Wade, and this is called The Choice. Now, this front cover will probably remind you of The Handmaid's Tale. And this book sounds very similar to The Handmaid's Tale, which is mainly the reason that I bought it. I'm currently reading The Handmaid's Tale at the moment. It's over there on my nightstand, and I'm really enjoying it at the moment. And this book, by the front cover alone, I was like, this is a Handmaid's Tale kind of book. And it basically says, imagine a world where everything you ate was monitored by the government. Every step you took was counted. Your children were weighed every day at school. Neighbours reported on neighbours, and no one was safe from judgment. Sugar was illegal and baking was a crime. Imagine if that world was here. What would you do? Toe the line or fight for your freedom? So it's a dystopian. I'm not too sure sort of how into the future it is, but I believe it's probably sort of a near future. And it just sounded really interesting. The sort of dystopian books I'm really getting into at the moment, and I've got a few on my shelves, but I thought I really wanted to read The Handmaid's Tale first, because obviously that's kind of like the original female dystopian kind of book by Margaret Atwood. And I thought, but then I've also got The Power. I don't know if you can see that. I've got here The Power, and I've got Vox, which are two sort of quite sort of near dystopian futured books based around the same thing. And when I saw this one, I was like, this is a definite to add to my dystopian female getting, you know, the shit end of the deal, basically, as per usual. So yeah, that's The Choice by Claire Wade. The next two are sort of light-hearted, fun, happy books. And the first one is The Unmumsy Mum, the hilarious highs and emotional lows of motherhood. And the second one is Part-Time Working Mummy, A Patchwork Life by Rachel Hambleton. If you don't know, these two ladies are bloggers and vloggers on YouTube, and I see them on Facebook, and they've got Instagram pages, and I've started following them a few months ago and really enjoy them. Being a mother to 3 children, I sort of know about motherhood, and I love reading books about other mothers' struggles with daily life with their kids. And both of these women on Facebook and Instagram and all of those things are really funny. Like, if I need a laugh when I'm having a shit day with my kids, these are the women that I go to. So I thought, they've written a book, that's bound to be funny. So I'm really looking forward to getting into these. I think they're just going to be sort of light-hearted, funny, you know, just sort of take me away from the stresses of daily life, and I'm really looking forward to getting these two read. And finally, the last 3 that I got was the first 3 in the, is it the Millennium trilogy, the Stieg Larsson? So I have got The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Played with Fire, and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. I happened to get these books, all 3 of them, for £5. So I was like, there's a bargain that I can't refuse. So I have seen the films of these books, and I really enjoyed the films. And my husband has listened to the audiobooks of these 3. I don't know if he's listened to the newer ones who were written by somebody else, but in the style of Stieg Larsson. I'm not sure if he's actually read those. But he's read, well, he's listened to the audiobooks of these three and said that it's right up my street. You know, it's a bit of a head fuck, and it's just, you know, sort of, he knows what I like to read, and he knows the kind of style of stuff that I like to read, and he said that these would be right up my street. And when I saw them for £5 for all three of them, I was like, that's just a bargain. So yeah, looking forward to giving these a go as well. So there you go, guys. That is my book haul. I call it my lockdown book haul because all I'm doing at the minute when I'm not homeschooling the kids is reading. So it's, you know, it's one of them things where it's like, I need to stop buying books because I've got a lot of books, but there's nothing else to do, so I'm going to keep buying books. So there'll probably be another book haul at some point very soon because I have no self-control. But for now, I hope you're keeping safe and well, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, guys.